Racism is a prevalent ongoing societal issue covered in media. The media's storytelling has played an integral role in affecting how individuals interpret and act upon the racial divides that rise within society. Coverage of racism in media stories increases the conversation around understanding people and culture and is imperative to intellectual progression. It is important in narrative and framing of a story that connection to the reader, structure, substance, and performance are thoughtfully considered. Recent topics of racism, including George Floyd's death and the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020, have brought to light the importance of framing and the consequences of media influence. These celebrity public addresses through Instagram generally use the morality frame and mimetic language to sympathize with the difficult situation of Black people, as well as relate to the large number of followers.
So there are so many more. Breonna Taylor. We don't often talk about Black women who died due to police violence or vigilante violence. But there are so many more who we don't know about because they didn't go viral, because there wasn't a video, because there wasn't an influencer talking about their death. And so I think that this is so important for us to learn how to stand in solidarity.
Framing can place information in a certain way that connects to the individual's cognitive resources. Pan and Kosicki also argue that framing causes elements of information to influence the audience's ability to make judgment of writing. Dawson argues that narrative theory can be defined as the toolbox for narrative analysis. Simetko states that narrative analysis consists of frames, which are a conceptual tool to assist a reader in analyzing stories' information. Storytelling is a large portion of history and present day. It forms the way that humans are able to communicate, passing knowledge from previous to future generations. The conflict frame reduces complex debates to more simplistic views of one thing versus another and is often seen in political news. The human interest frame responds to events and circumstances that naturally relate to humans. For example, updates on natural disasters. Economic consequence reports problems or issues that may impact a group or country and involves a cost. The morality frame involves context of moral or religious values that relate to people, such as racism. Lastly, responsibility is framing of news stories involving governments or groups who take responsibility, for example, who takes credit for COVID responses. Beckett presents using the frame of conflict, which can be interpreted from the title language, force, and against. The framing of the article suggests to the reader the tone is serious, informative, and that of disagreement in society. Beckett's language is diegetic in effect and provides a neutral and factual stance throughout. The story uses a series of statistics in order to inform the reader. This allows the reader to form their own view of the situation. Readers may be left or right-wing, therefore drawn to the article's topic to seek further information. This story's frame similarly covers conflict and uses a more mimetic approach of language, including personal quotes, further highlighting the disparity of the protests and violent environment. The images included also allow the reader to feel as though they understand the situation along with the mimetic language. Thomas et al. Follows the reverse pyramid structure of narrative, typically leading with introducing the Black American protesters and police as the main idea of the story. Framing is imperative to the audience's interpretation of media. Structure, function, substance, and performance of storytelling contribute to how they may act on these interpretations.